Vossa Excelência. Good afternoon, Mr. President. We will begin with the signing of 5 agreements and will be followed by a brief press conference. The first agreement is a memorandum of understanding on the establishment of a joint permanent commission. It will be signed on the side of the Republic of Mozambique by Minister José Pacheco, Minister of Foreign Affairs and Cooperation, and on the side of the Republic of Rwanda by Minister Mushikiwao. The next agreement is the agreement, shake hands please. The next agreement is the agreement on exemption of visa requirements for diplomatic and service passport holders. It will be signed by Minister Pacheco and Minister Mushikiwao. Thank you. The next is a bilateral air service agreement. It will be signed on the side of the Republic of Rwanda by Minister Uwihanganye, Minister of State in charge of Transport, and Minister Pacheco. The next agreement is a memorandum of understanding on science and technology, higher education and professional training. It will be signed on the side of the Republic of Rwanda by Minister Rurangirwa, Minister of Information Technology and Communication. The last agreement is a memorandum of understanding between the Rwanda Development Board and the Investment and Export Promotion Agency of Mozambique. It will be signed on the side of the Republic of Mozambique by the Director General of Investment and Export Promotion Agency, Lorenzo Sambo, and on the side of the Republic of Rwanda by the CEO of the Rwanda Development Board, Ms. Claire Kamanzi. Thank you. This marks the end of the agreement signing ceremony. We will now invite Your Excellencies to the podium to address the media. Start with you, Mr. President. Mr. President Kagame.
Good morning, Excellencies, my brother, President Nyusi of President of the Republic of Mozambique, and the distinguished delegation, our senior government officials, members of the media. It was a pleasure for us here in Rwanda to receive our honored guest, the President of Mozambique. For the couple of days, the President is going to be with us. This was following my visit to Mozambique. And while the President was here, we've been able to have very productive bilateral discussions, as well as touching on matters of our region, our continent, and beyond. It's just a great pleasure to have President Nyusi here, and following that, many things are going to happen between our two countries, even as explained by the bilateral agreements that have been signed. So, President, I wish to welcome you and invite you to say a word.
Estava eu a dizer, primeiro, muito obrigado o Presidente Kagame por me ter feito o convite em 2016 quando visitou Moçambique.
When he visited Mozambique,
Para mim é grande prazer
to me it's a great pleasure to be in this land of a thousand hills, but particularly to see how nature is preserved. It's just looking at the site where we are surrounded by vegetation, with the typical sound of birds, something which is very rare in so many countries of the world. And therefore, I would like to congratulate you. We had an opportunity to thank for the warm welcome and hospitality. I was saying that I have colleagues who I wonder whether they will go back with me or they will have to stay here in Rwanda due to the conducive environment this country is providing us with. Taking advantage of our stay, we would like to congratulate but also encourage President Kagame for the work he's been doing for this country. And in this case, and now for the African Union, a moment where the continent is required to conduct a number of reforms for its growth and emancipation. I will not elaborate on what happened during our visit, because the summary of these achievements was done through the legal agreements or legal instruments that were signed to they were witnessed by all of us. But during our stay, we had an opportunity to exchange views on the political, economic, and social situation of our two countries, on the situation obtaining in the regions where we are. In our case, we shared a briefing on SADC and also on so many issues of our continent and the world at large. We, during these talks and meetings, we ended up concluding that we need to bring our undertakings closer, so the discussions have been completed. Very quickly, we thought that we should have our connections through the establishment of embassies, which will allow people from Mozambique and Rwanda to move from one side to the other, and also to allow the flow of business and information. We've also collected the experience of best practices of governance and transparency in Rwanda, which is very good. It's always very good to have experiences from a sister country, because this country knows us so well, which means that the bottlenecks can be overcome by consulting, by trying to find out as to how our sister or our brothers done, and so that we can do the same. In our visit, we also brought the business community. Some are even arriving today or very early morning tomorrow, so that very quickly we can leverage our relations. We are in a campaign of economic diplomacy, because we understand that only this way, by engaging the private sector, we can quickly address the concerns of our people. We will have an opportunity tomorrow to talk about the potentials that Mozambique has in the area of economy, but we've also told our brothers that within the framework of our government 5-year program, we have defined some areas which are key, such as agriculture, energy, tourism, and infrastructures. This country is in a position to participate in all these areas through the investment, and we can also have bilateral investments or triangular investments, so that we can overcome the difficulties that our people are faced with, and immediately we will start encouraging trade between our two countries. As you are aware, we grow a lot of products in Mozambique: beans, tea, cashew nuts, sugar, cotton, but this country has got expertise which can be shared. We had the opportunity to visit this morning the area of innovation, technological innovation, where we clearly felt that the African technological potential is emerging here. So we'll explore to our maximum. And this morning we visited the memorial on the 1994 genocide, where clearly we saw how these people is preserving and respecting their own culture, their history. We most instances we do not understand how societies are now enjoy some tranquility, they have some coherence. Because values, when values of patriotism are preserved, these are the ones that can go a long way in building citizenship and building a new man. We would say a lot. There are so many things we could talk about, which we looked at during our visit, but our visit is quite productive, and it was timely. We think that not only for working visits, but Rwandans, including President Kagame, because he's a Rwandan, could find space or room to visit Mozambique in future, so that in a way that is not so official, and so that we exchange views. So there's a lot we can do. Once again, I'd like to thank President Kagame for inviting me and for providing me with this environment, this ambience, so that we know to detail this country, so that we can build on the expertise and knowledge that this country has. Thank you very much, Mr. President.
We'll now begin with taking questions from the press. We'll take about 4 questions. We'll ask members of the press to please introduce yourself and your media outlet, and keep your questions to 1 question, please. I have a question from William Mapote of STV in Mozambique.
Boa tarde e muito obrigado por esta ocasião. A minha querida, o meu nome é William Mapote, sou jornalista
journalist. And my question is for the two persons. Can he use the microphone? Can this gentleman use the microphone?
Just a moment. The microphone is...
Mais alto.
Sim, dizia, meu nome é William Opoto, sou jornalista de Moçambique e a minha questão serve para os dois presidentes, mas
is meant for the two presidents, but I would address it to President Nyusi. One of the issues is related to is the slowness in the implementation of protocols and agreements signed. I would like to know this time what will happen that is different so that implementation can be speeded up and is effective. Thank you very much.
Bom, primeiro, STV é uma televisão privada ou independente.
A private or independent TV broadcaster.
Uma das coisas que
One of
Moçambique tem como valor
the values of Mozambique is a freedom of expression. It's a private TV which follows the visit of the head of state. This case, we have a lot of hope. I do not know many cases where things are slow. It's just a matter of seeing. We had the visit of President Kagame in 2016, and one of the decisions made was that we should hold the Joint Permanent Commission within 2 years, and during this period of 2 years, there were visit exchanges. Before we completed 2 years, we are here, and the session has taken place, was held. So it's not a decision which was not fulfilled. To make even to add on, we came with a group of business people and business people who are already operating here. Those who are in the sugar area are already working here. They know this market. Others have a representation here in the region, so things are moving, are flowing. The protocols signed today are a result of the implementation of what we signed in 2016. So 16 there was a visit, 17 there were a number of instruments signed to make our decisions viable, and here we are here again to realize this. I believe that free movement, and I was talking to President Kagame, is not a problem for us. This is his flag in the chairpersonship of the African Union. Therefore, this will not be a major obstacle for Rwanda, and it's neither an obstacle for Mozambique. We believe that this will take place, will happen. Just to add, during this session, we talked about the possibility to start flights, international or regional flights, and the agreement has just been signed, but we think that before the next session there will be flights from Rwanda to Mozambique and vice versa. We are hopeful, and we have faith that it's not this generation or this group of presidents who meet just to write papers and put them in the shelves. We are committed to do, and things will happen.
Thank you, Mr. President.
I don't think I have to add much, except thanking the President, and for me, I just briefly say, the hope is in the fact that my experience with President Nyusi is a practical man. In fact, I remember many occasions in several meetings we are having at the AU summit or other summits. Is one man who is always asking about the time. We need to do things on time, which the urgency of which I share with him. And well, bureaucracies we manage can be slow sometimes, but I'm saying this knowing that we are going to be the two of us who will push for things to happen. So I don't see much in the business as usual way. So that is where my hope lies.
Thank you, Excellencies. The next question will be from Sylvanus of Rwanda Broadcasting Agency.
Thank you, Your Excellency. I'm Sylvanus Kalemera from Rwanda Broadcasting Agency. My question goes to His Excellency President Nyusi. Going by history, Your Excellency, we understand that Rwanda and Mozambique share a lot. And given what you have seen here in Rwanda after visiting various developmental spots, much as two countries or African countries for this matter try to emancipate themselves, to some extent we have been seeing some foreign forces coming in to either divert or leading this country astray from the point. I'd like to hear...
What is that?
Diverting maybe some foreign countries or big powers for this matter coming in to some extent divert the principles or development for African countries. I'd like to hear from Your Excellency, as you go home, you are taking home message to how the two countries could strategically work together to taking these achievements to an extra height of development. Thank you.
Which subjects?
I didn't understand the
Yes,
question.
the question is not clear.
Can you make clear what is
Can
your...
you do something for translation? Probably I'm not.
No, but even I didn't understand much.
Yeah. Please.
I said, Your Excellency, going by history, Mozambique and Rwanda share a lot when it comes to liberation struggle. And given what the two countries have achieved in development, I would like to hear from Your Excellency the take-home message, strategically how the two countries can work together to overcome some of the challenges that, to some extent, brought in by external forces to a certain point, divert these achievements of the two countries. Thank you.
Certo. Esta é uma pergunta mesmo da juventude e é bem.
This is a question from the youth, and it's a welcome question.
Disse e muito bem
And
sobre o
you have
passado.
rightly pointed out on the colonial past that we share, and the massacres and the genocide this country experienced. We experienced it in a different way, sometimes directly and through wars in Mozambique, and therefore we take in our shoulders this history, which is very rich. This is history which is also transmitted to the youth. The youth should know where we're coming from and where we're going. Our visit to Rwanda is exactly because we know that from the common past, there are experiences of the present we can build on. This country is small, it's not rich, very rich, but it's a hard-working nation. From being a small country and from the hard work it's doing, it's addressing the concerns of their people at a speed which is acceptable or and enviable, which can be envied. Therefore, we are here to get these experiences. I believe that President Kagame, when he was in Mozambique, he also he gathered some of our experiences. We have resources, and here there are resources. What is important is to untap these resources and transform them into wealth so that it benefits our people. You've talked so well about external interferences, but sometimes we are not afraid of these interferences because we know that we are not an island as countries. We need to cooperate with everybody, but on a basis of mutual respect and mutual advantage. And that's why we accept national and foreign investments. We are here precisely to invite, and I would also invite you as well, so that tomorrow you attend the business forum we will have with the business people who are working, precisely because there are so many things we can do together. Yesterday we visited the economic special zone, and we saw how from small investment that Rwandan government has made, very quickly they started having a return of this investment. What is important is that they are providing jobs to so many people, and mainly women. We used to say that if you empower a woman, you are empowering the whole family. So these are the experiences we've gained from Rwanda, and together we'll move. And I was inviting my brother, if there are farmers here in Rwanda with good investments that can invest in Mozambique in farming in a large arable lands, that would be good for us. We don't need to go very far. If in Africa we have such capacity, let's capitalize, let's build on this capacity. I believe that your question was understood, that this question was more bilateral, could just say more, could elaborate further on this. But,
the next question will be from Alfredo Simango,
próxima
TVM,
pergunta.
from Mozambique.
Muito boa tarde. Brito Simango, jornalista da televisão
Simango,
Moçambique.
journalist from the Mozambique
A minha
TV.
questão é para
My
o
question
presidente
is addressed to
do Ruanda.
President Kagame from
O que
Rwanda.
é que Ruanda
What Rwanda
oferece
offers to Mozambique
neste novo ciclo
in this
de
new cycle
diplomacia
of
económica?
economic diplomacy?
E a outra questão
And the other question, to which extent Rwandans are reconciled 24 years after the 1994 genocide?
ao presidente Nyusi.
To President Nyusi,
O que é que mais impressionou
what
nessa visita de Estado?
has impressed you in Rwanda during your state visit? You visited some economic undertakings, you have talks. What impressed you most?
Well, what we are offering first and foremost is a partnership. It's a cooperation between two brother countries and peoples of Mozambique and Rwanda. We share a lot. The aspirations are the same. We have had experiences in our history, as Aria referred to, of liberating our people, our countries. But these experiences are better in a complementary manner. There are similarities, there are differences, but if all brought together, each side learns one thing or two more than they had in their own experiences. So, and when we are talking about liberation of our people and countries, a very big part of that is the social and economic transformation that we seek to carry out in the context of a good political management of our countries, so that all that happens as we exchange, as we share these experiences, and supporting our private sectors so that they work together, and at the same time the private sector lead the economic progress we want to see for our people is therefore being offered, or that offered in that framework of partnership that I think the President was talking about, and also what we witnessed in the form of bilateral agreements. Through that process, many things will happen that will benefit Rwanda and will benefit Mozambique. In fact, it doesn't stop there. By strengthening our cooperation, we are able to contribute also to African countries, other African countries with whom we cooperate or still work together in many fields for the better of the continent. The second question about reconciliation, I think reconciliation is going to be work in progress all the time. There is no fixed date you put to this process and say by this date reconciliation will be 100%. Things don't work like that. But as you progress in dealing with all these challenges, whether economic, political, social, and working to bring good politics to work to make people understand what is good in being together, in working in unison, and so that countries develop not in a form of pockets here and there within countries, but rather as a whole. And as a whole, that means everyone has to contribute. So reconciliation in Rwanda has, to a very large extent, made good progress. And again, as I said, what remains to be done is also there, and we continue working on that. But I wanted you to carry with you the message that what you are able to see or you have heard from people while you are here as refers to progress made. In fact, whether it is economic or otherwise, it has been made alongside the progress being made on the side of reconciliation. When people have reconciled, they have come together, they have worked together, they are the ones who have enabled this progress we see to be there to the level we see it. So that is just to talk about the significance of reconciliation, but also the steps that have been registered.
A sua terceira pergunta
That question
foi
was what lessons
lições são
we
muitas.
take. So there are many lessons. There are so many lessons we can carry. Perhaps I should start by your second question addressed to President Kagame. This capacity of people to reconcile after pain, after conflict. People should reconcile and should unite and consolidate patriotism and address problems of the future. So this is a lesson that we all need to have as a major lesson. And one of the things that has impressed me most is the hard-working character of the Rwandan people. At all levels, Rwandans have decided to address their own problems through hard work. You can see very young generations and those who are part of the generation that is previous, is earlier than those new generation. They are just convey their knowledge and their expertise, and they are surrounded by the youth, and we've seen that they are transforming the existing opportunities into wealth without any complex or any biasness. This culture of hard work of the Rwandan people is quite admirable, because intelligence all people should have, the human capacity, human capital, but the will and the culture of hard work is key for us to transform our own mental capacity in resources and in products. But this is something else. I would be unfair if I did not mention this, because this is one of the things you would like to hear. One of the lessons is a very clean city, a beautiful city where traffic rules are respected, where there is no crime. I say there is no crime because you cannot not because we have crime in our country, but this is a very important experience for a tranquility of the people. There are many lessons, so other lessons will just build on and capitalize and work on. Thank you.
Thank you, Excellencies. The next and last question will be from Dan Gabonziza of Kigali Today.
Thank you, Your Excellencies, for the opportunity. My name is Danny Gawonziza. I write for Kigali Today. My question goes to Your Excellency President Nyusi. Mozambique is signatory to CFTA, Continental Free Trade Area. When do you plan to take the opportunity to submit the papers of ratification to AU? Thank you.
É muito bom. É porta-voz da União
Very
Africana.
good. I think you are the spokesperson of the African Union. We are working in this regard. We do not hesitate. When we made this decision, we did not hesitate. I recall that there was a time of consultation and consultations with President Kagame so as to bring this sensitivity, including to this meeting. So I made it an issue that I attended the meeting. So I was there. We are in the process. You know that some of the issues in Mozambique, we respect three powers, and I believe this applies here as well: the judiciary, the legislature, and we are the executive. For your own knowledge, for me to come here to conduct to pay this state visit, I have to seek clearance from Parliament, and the Parliament has accepted it. So any decisions we make, we have to share with them, and we have a very flexible Parliament. I believe at any time we'll be in a position to go back and take up the commitment we accepted ourselves.
Thank you, Mr. President. Your Excellencies, this marks the end of the press conference. We thank you for your time. President Nyusi, we wish you viajem segura across our country, and hope that you discover a few of the reasons for the Rwandan saying, God spends the day elsewhere but sleeps in Rwanda. Enjoy your stay, sir.
Muito obrigado.
Thank you.
Quero convidar a todos para estar presente na FACIM, Moçambique. FACIM é a feira internacional onde se expõe todo o desenvolvimento, incluindo os
I would like to
jornalistas.
invite you to our trade fair. This is where we just showcase our achievements, including journalists are invited to the trade fair of Maputo, FACIM. Thank you.